Then Sundays on the channel. We're going to get it started here with the closing line. As you know, Jay and the boys will take over for some live line action. I'm excited about this card. Not necessarily about the overall matchups, Jay, but the fact that we have no bye weeks and a monster chance, because you know, as gamblers, that's more opportunity to win money. You love betting in the live line. You love taking advantage. How about even more games to take advantage of on the live line show? Going to be just me and Jay today. We're going to have some fun, take you through all this football card and all the magic that it has. Jay, welcome in, buddy. It's another Sunday here on the channel.
Donnie Rightside, how are you, my friend? Yeah, NFL bye weeks are over. That is awesome. But like me and you were just talking about, that also means more games that you could step into landmines by accident. So you still have to be careful.
You're right. And how about this, though? Look, it's still the winter time, right? It's still December. But we talked the past couple of weeks about games up in the Meadowlands saying, you know what, windy conditions. You're not going to get that really today between that in that Jets-Dolphins game. I think we might get some points. But certainly, as we do each and every week, we're going to go right up to every game. If we don't have enough time for the night game, Jay will get you guys ready on the live line show and certainly have enough information on that. But look, there's an extra couple games here. We're going to have some fun. Let's get after it, Jay. We'll start right away. 131, 132, Baltimore and Buffalo. Lamar Jackson, who can stop the kid, right? And you take a look at the Buffalo Bills. And I got to say, Jay, a sneaky 9-win team is crazy when you talk about a football team that's 9-3. The Buffalo Bills, nice home field advantage, windy conditions. Both of these quarterbacks very mobile. If we take a look at some of the opening line numbers, differentiating offshore at SBRodds.com, 5.5, Jay. They opened up somewhere at 6.5. It looks like we're probably going to settle in right around that 6, maybe 6.5 with a little bit of juice. Your early thoughts on this game might be the same as mine. Boy, it's hard to go against the Baltimore Ravens, but as gamblers, Jay, we ain't talking about straight up here. We're talking about spread bets.
Yeah, I've had a hard time reading this Buffalo Bills team all year long. But you're talking about a team that's won 9 out of 12 football games and is catching 6.5 points at home right now. So, you know, I don't want to step in front of the buzzsaw that is Baltimore. I think that they are the clear-cut best team in the league. I have them 1.5 points better than every other team in the National Football League, at least the team in second. I think, Donnie, my one play on this game is Lamar Jackson over 69.5 rushing yards. I think as good as this Buffalo Bills defense has been, they have not seen a quarterback all season long that's going to be able to break contain today like Lamar Jackson. I don't think if you had 14 players on the field, you could stop this kid from moving forward. So I don't even want to get involved in the sider total, really, even though if I had a free bet, I would take the 6.5 points at home. But I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson over 69.5 yards, because I think if you can count on anything today, you're going to count on that kid running forward, especially against a really solid defense that might shut every other look down. You know what I mean?
No, I think you have a pretty good idea. Now, look, I want to ask you a question on this, because being a prop guy that you are, every single week, it seems like we come up upon this and say, look, Lamar Jackson, 60 yards, 62 yards, 63 yards. And it's not like a running back. Like, will he get the touches? You know, Lamar Jackson's going to get the touches. And it doesn't come, Jay, from 3- and 4-yard runs up the middle. Like when he blasts off, especially being on turf today and in windy conditions, maybe he's more apt to actually go after it. And also, let's keep in mind, sometimes when you have a really good pass rusher, really good front 4, front 7, they put pressure on the quarterback, which opens up lanes to run. When you're looking from a total perspective betting with the quarterback and running yards like Lamar Jackson, what do you actually look at? Like, what's too much for you? Would it be like 85.5? Because every time it seems at 60, he's got like 45 or 50 yards at the half. And it's basically, is this going to be a close game where he still plays in the fourth quarter?
Well, you know, every other quarterback in the league, if you see 37 or 38, that's a lot. Yeah. I mean, this kid is blowing the total away. Like Josh Allen normally settles around like 33 or 34. You might catch Trubisky on a really good day, maybe have like a line of 20. Like the other night, he had 9.5. I think Lamar Jackson, you have to treat him like we treated Michael Vick 12 years ago. He is an enigma, man. You cannot stop the kid from moving forward. So I think Lamar Jackson's a really special case. I wouldn't touch over 40 rushing yards on any other quarterback in the league. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think I expected, like I see Triple Beam Dream says Bet365 as 72.5 right now. I think that's what FanDuel has right now. Also, I caught that 69.5 at DraftKings. I was fortunate enough to catch that line there. But yeah, I just think he is a special case, Donnie.
Yeah, both of these quarterbacks can run the football. If we're taking a look at rush yards per average on defense, both teams giving up 4.5 yards on the ground. Overall for the game, Jay, Buffalo 104 yards. And we take a look at Baltimore at 90, basically 95 yards. It's kind of interesting because we're looking at this game, and I like the Buffalo Bills from a side perspective because, again, I don't know if Buffalo can win this football game, but I think they can make enough plays to stay in it. Windy conditions. You had a hard-fought, Super Bowl-type preview last week versus the 49ers. Now you go on the road. But this team, the Baltimore Ravens, has busted up some fairly good football teams on the road. When you look at the Rams, there's no bad defense in the Rams, and they completely took them apart. So the over-under opens up at 43 offshore. Now you're seeing 44.5. And there are windy conditions, as we said. We've seen a lot of times in Buffalo. Sometimes you're looking at maybe a team total or two. Don't be surprised with some missed extra points in Buffalo. If I had to go, I like the Buffalo Bills getting the 6.5 if you can get that number. If you had to look at this football game as a total, I got to tell you, Baltimore's offense, I think Buffalo can make enough plays as well. Seems a little bit low because do we think like you're going to hold, the winning score to be 21-17? I think that's a little bit low. I think both of these teams can at least approach the 20. So I would lean towards the over. How about you on this one?
I agree with what you're saying in theory, right? But don't you think that if we both lean towards Buffalo being the side, that's correlated with the under?
I don't know because I think they're going to be pressed in that because if I'm thinking in this game, Jay, that you have to get to the mid-20s to win, which is what I'm thinking about, like 25-21, 25-20, 24-21 in that range, I think I'm leaning towards over. But I can see where your point of view is. Is this one of those games where Buffalo says, we're going to pound the rock and we're going to keep Lamar Jackson off the field? Because, again, we're talking about Buffalo, 15, 16, 17-mile-an-hour winds where maybe that 47-yard field goal that Justin Tucker is perfect on, maybe it sways to the right a little bit and you don't cash that in. So there are some things that do detract from the total in this game.
Yeah, I agree. And if I'm Buffalo, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to extend these drives as long as I can to keep Lamar Jackson off the field. I guess I agree with you. I guess just because of how dynamic this Baltimore offense is, I would probably lean over the total. But I think if it gets there, it just gets there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, we could see it, and there's a slight movement up, and we'll see how it plays out. But some really good 1 o'clock games. That's one right off the bat. One that I'm really excited about, Jay, and I don't know how you factored this in during the week. The Washington Redskins going on the road to play the Green Bay Packers. The lines open up offshore right around 14, Jay. Even Chris opened up at a 14.5. Now we're seeing 13s and even 12.5s start to show their head here. Now, the one thing I'm actually looking at, I was trying to decipher what we can do. It's hard to take Green Bay totals, especially when they're looking at 41.5, but it's not so much from a Green Bay perspective, Jay, as much as it is from Washington. Look, they get healthy at the running back position. I get it. The quarterback doesn't throw for very many yards. Extremely banged up at wide receiver. To me, it's one of those games where Green Bay might fall asleep in this one. Doesn't feel the need really to stretch the lead because there's no pressure coming back from Washington, even though that total is extremely low at 42, basically across the board. I'm leaning under, but the one thing I really don't want to do yet is just take Green Bay to win by 2 touchdowns. I think it might be a sleepy environment. How are you previewing this game?
I agree. If I'm taking the side, I can only take the Washington Redskins because I think this is a situation where they're going to be looking to come through the back door halfway through the fourth quarter. I think that Aaron Rodgers is great at home. They put up points at home, but they're still lower third in the league in defense. They're 22nd in DVOA. So that's a problem. And I understand that this Washington offense is not good, but I think that they can score enough points where when you're talking about covering almost 2 touchdowns, it could be an issue. Earlier in the week, I was on with Flash on the Odds Market NFL show, and I kind of liked the Green Bay Packers team total over 27. I know like 27 is really high, but if Aaron Rodgers does anything at home, he puts up points, right? And the Redskins are just outside the top 20 from what I see at Football Outsiders on defense. Don't you think you could see Green Bay put 4 touchdowns up today?
No, you're right about that. I had the same thing this week that we were talking about because when you're looking at the total, because I think I did a show with Flash thinking the same point, saying you can actually see Green Bay touching the low 30s and the game not going over because we don't know what we're going to get out of Washington. Because also once you get to start to look at like blowout scenarios, let's just say Green Bay Jay's up, I don't know, 24-10 in the fourth quarter. Washington's not kicking field goals anymore. Do you know what I mean? So that could stymie it one way, but the opposite way, Green Bay is still going to try to score. And when we take a look at passing, what they've been, let's just take a 5-game snapshot for Washington passing. It almost sounds like Navy on offense, Jay. Minnesota, 131. Buffalo, 116. The Jets, 171. Detroit, 141. Carolina, 114. Usually correlation is you have to pass and make close to 300-yard gains to put points up. I don't know if you could just say, hey, guys, let's run the football today and see what happens.
No, yeah, I agree. They're going to have to air it. I think you could see the Green Bay Packers get a touchdown on defense today, because I think that Washington is going to be in a position where they have to throw the football today. Mm-hmm. And if they do anything poorly, it's throw the football, right? Yeah. Dwayne Haskins hasn't looked great. That offensive line is a joke. He's literally begging them on the sideline to help him. So I think I'm going to stay away from the game pregame. But if I was going to bet something in this game, I would go team total over 27 for the Packers.
It must feel good also for the Packers, Jay, because looking at their last 5 games here, 4 of those games on the road, haven't been home for close to a month. So crowd's going to be rocking, and not too bad at conditions there, which in Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers is a fantastic bad weather quarterback. I just don't see Washington putting up a fight where I'm going to say, I'm going to take the 13, because you usually need to make plays. We talk about, Jay, I know you bet the Dolphins a lot this year. Even though the Dolphins were getting 16, 17, 13, you said, you know what? I got a quarterback that if he gets hot is a gunslinger, will stand in the pocket and deliver. Like wide open player, hey, made the pass, or one-on-one jump ball, gave his guy the chance. I don't see that from Haskins here.
100%. That's the thing. Like with Ryan Fitzpatrick, 50% of the time he's going to give you 3 touchdowns through the air. The other 50% of the time he's going to throw 3 picks through the air. You know what I mean? So at least you are live if Ryan Fitzpatrick is feeling himself that day. But with the Washington Redskins, they are so inept on offense. You can't trust them to cover a 13-point spread. But at the same time, Donnie, I really think, especially in the last month, that Green Bay defense has not looked as good as it did the first 5 weeks of the season, where we were like, wow, the secondary has changed. You're starting to see that defense revert a little bit back to the way that they were last season. So I think that the back door is live, man, in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, we'll see, because it was very surprising to me last week where the Washington Redskins were able to go on the road, control the clock, win on the ground, not put up a ton of yardage through the air, and still were able to approach close to 30 points. So it could happen, and that's a low total, because as we said, if we're both expecting Green Bay to win this game by more than margins, like 24-17. We both expect them to get in the high 20s. So theoretically, if one team's going to get in the high 20s, it should be a little bit more of a blowout, and that fourth quarter opportunity should increase. So we'll see what happens in that football game. 135-136. I got one line I don't agree with moving, and this is one here. Denver and Houston. Oh, look, Will Fuller's down. We get that, right? And you see Von Miller's up. Oh, my God, Von Miller's back this weekend. Keep in mind, Von Miller had a bulky brace on all week long, going to play on turf today and still with a smaller brace. And it was a game-time decision whether he would play or not. So I don't know how much you're going to get from him. Keep in mind also a rookie, which was okay, now stepping on the road in a playoff-type environment, at least for the Houston Texans. This line, Jay, opened up around that 9.5 range. You can get 8 now across the board, and I'm trying to think of the reasoning behind it. Would it be just Bill O'Brien that we're not going to trust in the situation to lay double digits? Which is, I've railed on that in the past. But I don't know if Denver's offense can do enough, because also you might want to take a look and say, well, Donnie, hey, look, Houston had a Super Bowl-type game on Sunday Night Football, knocking off the Patriots. Now they see Denver coming to town. Ooh, easy winner, and they can creep behind. I don't know where the points are coming from in this game, Jay, for me, from a Denver side.
Yeah, Donnie, the Denver Broncos are one of the few teams that I have literally not made a bet on all season long. Yeah, I haven't. Listen, I'm a big believer in this Houston team, even though they're handicapped by the coaching of Bill O'Brien. They look different this year. They really do. I think that Deshaun Watson has kicked it up a notch from previous years. And I don't think, as long as Stills and DeAndre Hopkins are in the game, I think losing Fuller is not that big a deal. And, the New England Patriots last week got a garbage time touchdown. If you take that touchdown off the board, the Houston defense was really impressive last week. I was impressed. They're home again. I don't think that they're going to take this Denver Broncos team for granted. I really don't. I think that the Texans are probably, in my opinion, the third best team in the AFC. It's either the Chiefs or Houston in that 3 spot. I think that they beat this Denver Broncos team by at least 9 points. I would not feel bad about laying it here.
No, I wouldn't either. And that's why I said, I don't agree with that line. I didn't know if it could be 10, but I think some people, Von Miller's going to play and this and that. And Will Fuller's down. I don't know how much it's going to matter because, again, Jay, we get into the same talking points where you say, like with the Washington Redskins, right? They don't pass. So if you don't have a functional offense or when the quarterback drops back, Jay, you have a bet. You're like, I wonder what he's going to do here, as opposed to when the elite quarterbacks drop back and you're saying, this is a big play. This is a big play. If we look at look at the last 2 games, right, for the Denver Broncos offense. The Buffalo Bills, they scored 3 points on the road, 85 yards on the ground, 49 yards in the air. Last week, you say, boy, they were really impressive. 23-20, rookie quarterback got a win. Dig inside those numbers. 84 yards on the ground, 134 yards in the air. You can't go on the road with a rookie quarterback and expect it because what's your ceiling here, Jay, when we look at the Denver Broncos?
18,
yeah, maybe
18 for 28 for 134. If they go in and do that today, they're going to lose by 17. You know what I mean? Maybe more. It's a shame too because I like Cortland Sutton as a receiver. You know what I mean?
Me too. I love him. Yes.
I think Phillip Lindsay is a solid running back as an RB1. They just don't have anybody right now that you can depend on delivering these wide receivers the football. So I just don't see it, man. I haven't felt the need to back Denver all year, and I don't feel the need to do it today. I think the Texans probably roll. And
you saw last week also, Jay, in the Houston Texans game. What is the thing, like the leaky defense all season long? Yes, you lost J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney. We understand that. But the secondary was leaky. Now healthy again. Like really healthy. And you're right. Look at the game last week versus New England. We know they're struggling a little bit on offense, New England Patriots. But if you just watch the first 3 quarters of the game, you're going, good Lord, looks like this team's ready to make a push. And again, the pathway to victory for a dog is a quarterback that can get hot or a defense that's absolutely shut down, which Denver does have a good defense. But we're not talking about the Denver Broncos getting the ball, Jay, on their own 30-yard line and driving 70 yards for a touchdown. I just don't see it happening much today.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. I don't really have an opinion on the total that much. I just think that if I was going to bet the game, I'd probably lay it.
Look, I like Houston at 42.5, 43 in that range. It's a tough one for me because I think you can have almost a carbon copy type game last week with a New England Patriots team that was much better. So if we're going to say the fourth quarter doesn't happen because the junkyards happen where, all right, Tom Brady gets a little hot in the fourth quarter. They go like 90 yards to score a touchdown. I don't see that with Denver this week. So I'll lean on the under in this game. I will.
Yeah, I'll buy it. I'll buy that. It's similar to that Green Bay Washington.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right here. How about this game, Jay? 137, 138. Good one in the Dome. And hey, my environment down here in South Jersey, like I still have the ticket on through the Fire Stick, but I like to watch the games in real-time HD. We don't have any Eagles games today, so I'm going to get this football game on my TV, which is fantastic. 137, 138, San Francisco and New Orleans. Opinions vary here throughout the week, and rightfully so. 2 really good football teams, maybe fighting for NFC supremacy. You saw last week a tough, hard-fought loss by the San Francisco 49ers as they played the Ravens. Now you're going to go down to the Dome. They also didn't fly back this week, and I believe stayed in Florida practicing at the IMG Academy to try to get themselves back acclimated to East Coast time. This is going to be fun. This crowd is going to be loud. This is the healthiest the 49ers have been on offense. 2 really dynamic play callers and defenses playing at an elite level, Jeff. We set the table here. Opened up 3.5, but now we've seen that downshift. Pinnacle offshore, -1. Chris offshore, -1.5. Looks like all the 2s are off the board. Over under in this football game opened up at 45.5, was hovering that 44.5, Jay, all week. Now sitting at 45.
Donnie, I'm so excited about this game. There are only 3 teams right now in the National Football League that are both in the top 10 in offense and defensive efficiency, and these are 2 of those teams. Listen, man, the 49ers have gotten all the hype in the NFC this year. And I have been a huge fan. I've been talking them up all year long, but there is another 10-win football team in the NFC. There's actually 2 of them, and one of them is playing today, the Saints. They are a really, really good team. I understand if you're looking at their last few games, you're like, wow, they beat the Falcons by 8. They just squeaked by the Panthers by 3. But I think that this is like you said, this could be like an NFC championship type game. Home field matters, man. I think if the San Francisco 49ers were -1 and this was at Levi Stadium, I'm on them. Because the Saints are home today, because they're on that fast turf, and because that stadium is going to be so loud, I have to take the Saints here, man. I really do. I think you're splitting hairs. Both these teams are so good that I give the edge in the trenches to the 49ers. But other than that, I really think that you could split this team right down the middle. I like the Saints here. I'm not going to lie. I like them.
It's hard to go against the Saints at home, especially when they're somewhat healthy. What I mean by that is you have your quarterback intact, your best wide receiver intact, your linemen starting to come back because you do get a little bit of help with Armstead coming back at left tackle. But today, when I look at the San Francisco 49ers, D Ford back into the lineup, this team is as healthy probably as it's going to be for the rest of the way. And the thing I do like, if you are let's just say athletic quarterback, one likes of Kyler Murray, or if you're looking at Russell Wilson, they can elude that pass rush. But when you take a look at football games for the San Francisco 49ers, when they played against non-elusive quarterbacks, it's really, really impressive. Like, Green Bay scores 8 points. Then we take it down to Carolina, 13 points. The Redskins, 0 points. The Rams, 7 points. Cleveland, 3 points. Pittsburgh ended up with 20 earlier on, but even in the second game of the season, Cincinnati, only 17 points. If you're looking at maybe a ceiling of the the Saints getting to around 20 points in this football game, I think the 49ers will be in this. And I do agree with the price drop here because 3 was, hey, look, Saints are going to have to win this game by more than a field goal, obviously, to cash that ticket. And the 49ers would be able to say, we'll lean on that crutch. We'll play good defense. If we lose by 3 in the Dome, it's no big deal. Now it comes back into play. I do like the 49ers in this game. Now, earlier in the week, Jay, I was looking at this game saying, you know what? Total in this football game seems a little bit low at 44.5. I do agree with it going up, but you pointed out both of these defenses are really good and really good at rushing the passer. You are a little bit more healthy on the 49ers side of the football running back now than you were the past couple weeks. And also keep in mind, a couple key linebackers down in the middle for the New Orleans Saints. But you want to talk about prime time reality games that you want to watch? I can't wait to watch this one, Jay.
Yeah, I agree. And everything you said, I agree with. And I can't blame anybody for being on the San Francisco 49ers today. That's why, like you said, if you are a pocket passer, it's really hard to deal with this 49ers defensive front. That's why I said I thought that San Fran had the edge in the trenches. But if there is an offensive coordinator out there that could, a head coach that can plan for that, I think Sean Payton can plan for that. I think that he's going to get the ball out of Breeze's hand in a hurry. I think Alvin Kamara is going to be huge in this game, depending on how they use him. And they have the best receiver in the sport right now. So you're splitting hairs, man. I don't blame anybody that's on either side.
No, it's awesome. It's going to be fun. And it's interesting to hear the perspective that you get out of New Orleans a little bit later in the week going, hey, instead of you always pick out New Orleans, like we're going to throw it on you. We're going to run it on you. We're going to dial up plays that work. Now they're sort of downshifting saying, you know what? This defense is really good. Let's see if we can control the ground game and maybe control the clock. So that's why that number still sitting in that 44.5 range. I think they're two elite play callers. You get much better play callers than Sean Payton than you're going to have with Shanahan. It's going to be a really fun game to watch. We're not going to worry about weather conditions. If it's rainy or windy, you're going to get an even matchup in the Dome. And sometimes when you get an even matchup in the Dome, Jay, it's loud. There's 3 seconds on the play clock. You can't hear. Here comes the blitz. Your left tackle doesn't hear you. You're going to get a lot of that today. I'm looking forward to it. So looking at the game itself, I do like the San Francisco 49ers, and I do lean towards the over, and it looks like you're going to be on that side. How about the points? Because I know you like the New Orleans Saints here. How about the points here? You looking at more points or less, or how do you see that playing out?
It's so hard because these teams are 7th and 2nd in defensive DVOA. I don't know, man. This could be, I left that Baltimore 49ers game feeling better about both teams, even though Tucker got the win at the end for them. I think you could see a 2017 game again because what gets lost in how good these offenses have performed is how good these defenses are. So I think the total, I don't see an edge. I think it's dead smack where it should be, really, to be honest with you. I would be looking live.
No, it'll be fun. Again, you're going to be doing that all and more on the live line. Jason Miller says, did you know Drew Brees can get his 49th career loss against the 49ers today, Jay? How much does that enter into your capping here, Jay?
How about that, Donnie?
The
I'm
outsider
gonna
moves.
file that. I'm gonna put that in my back pocket, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, if it wins, we'll tweet that out. Be like, look, man, it's scripted. That's just the way it was supposed to go. 49ers give you your 49th loss, but I don't really know how much that's actually going to play into it. More likely that the players will decide this on the field than the WWF script that we're probably going to have. Next one that we're moving on to, Jay, game 5 today. Still 1 o'clock, huge card, 139-140. Cincinnati and Cleveland. First looking at this game early in the week, I said, whoa. Like Cleveland just came off a massive emotional game, up 10-0, and dropped it on the road. Infighting with the team. Odell Beckham Jr. needs surgery after the season. Reports come out from Mary Kay Abbott, or the beat reporter of Mary Kay Cabot, the beat reporter for Cleveland. Yeah, it's not working out with Odell Beckham, and he might even be gone next year. You saw in the game last week, exactly. You saw in the game last week, right? Quarterback Baker Mayfield dinged up. Now it's ribs. Now it's hand. And this line is dropping, and I absolutely agree with it. But you're talking about 10.5s, 10s, 9s, 9.5s, 8.5s, 8, 7.5s. Jay, I'm seeing 6.5s on the board, and I agree with it here. I think Andy Dalton at quarterback, you're still down on your defensive line for Cleveland. Dalton's going to have some time to throw. Do I think they can go in and win this football game? I'm starting to get there a little bit, but I don't know if I want to take, one of the 8.5s or the 9s or the 10s were available early in the week. 6.5. I completely agree with the line movement, though.
I agree with the line move. It's hard to take a team that's 1-11 and take them on the road, but you could have got such a better number earlier in the week that I wouldn't touch the side right now. I think this game probably goes under. Donnie, the play calling for the Cleveland Browns the last 3 weeks has been atrocious. Yeah. Have you seen anything like it, though?
Do you trust them inside the 10, Jay, is what you're saying?
I've seen them have 9 tries from the 3 and couldn't get in. So, listen, man, but I'll tell you what I do like. I have been a big fan of the Kareem Hunt receiving props all year, and the Cincinnati defense is weak. Kareem Hunt over 3.5 receptions. I think he probably gets there. Kareem Hunt over 27 receiving yards. I think he probably gets there. They've been using Chubb to be the running back, and Kareem Hunt has been another wide receiver just coming out of the backfield. He's treated me good all year with player props, and that's where I'm looking. I agree with you. I think the line's moving the right way. I guess I would lean under because these teams suck. Even though me and you always say 2 bad teams usually goes over, but I just don't know where the points come from.
You're right about that because it is maddening. And the one thing that we do know about how many times have we seen this year, Jay? Ready? 1st and goal at the 8. False start on Cleveland, push it back to the 13. 1st and goal at the 8, they run the football. Holding, pushes them back to the 20. It's almost nonstop. Big plays down the field, illegal man downfield. Notorious, horrible play calls. You have elite level talent. Even take a look from a fantasy perspective. Look at the 2 running backs. Look at the 2 wide receivers that you have. A quarterback that wants to throw in the tight windows, and it doesn't work because maybe it's just dysfunctional. It's not going to happen. But I completely agree. I wouldn't take the 6.5 just because I would be like, you know what? Look at that game. Look where it ends up, Jay. 24-17. Oh my God, I took the 6.5 when I could have 8 2 days ago. I wouldn't jump into that realm. But I got to agree with you there on the total and also. Boy, I don't know where Cleveland goes from here. And again, you're talking about one of those games where you're trying to prolong it. If you had the Cleveland Browns, Jay, win last week over the Steelers, you might be looking at this game differently. Here goes Cleveland. They're going to make a run, try to get the playoffs. What a deflating loss. And that's going to play into it. And I think that's a lot to do with why this line is dropping.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you can't win that game up 10 points with all the history from 3 weeks ago, I don't know. How do you get up right now for a home game against the 1-11 Cincinnati Bengals? How? You can't. You can't. I can't tell anybody to take the 6.5 because, like you say, you could have got such a better number earlier in the week. I guess I would lean under, or I like those. No matter what happens in this game, I like those Kareem Hunt props.
No, you're right. You hit on that last week, didn't you? On the cause I saw one of the Kareem Hunt over catches. Yeah, it looks like a good. And by the way, being in DFS and fantasy, you think 2 good running backs back there. I was even going through because I put a millionaire lineup every week, and it's amazing to see like Kareem Hunt and Chubb almost lined identical in the same backfield and expensive as hell. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, we'll keep it moving here on the show. We got a lot more games and a lot more 1 o'clock games still to go here. Now, the grand finale, I think, was last night in Atlanta, right? Yeah, the SEC title game was a packed house. LSU just curb stomped Georgia. We hoped it would have been a better game, but a lot of injuries into that. And you saw really just how good LSU is. And as we look at the college football playoff show that has been selected, LSU 1, Ohio State 2, Oklahoma 4, Clemson 3, as I'm looking at there.
You
now,
agree with that?
I'm actually kind of upset that Ohio State and Clemson are going to play each other. I really am. And I know that LSU staying at the number 1 spot, going to get Oklahoma. They're going to walk in the final. Maybe they should. But I got to tell you one thing. In a playoff, and I was thinking about it last night, Jay, you want to talk about points, explosive offenses, all 4 of these teams. Going to be a fun playoff, man. Wow.
I mean, those top 3 teams, I think you're splitting hairs. I really do. I don't know. The only reason why you make Clemson a 3 is because of how weak the ACC was this year. I get it. Ohio State, the Big Ten, the upper tier of the Big Ten was solid this year. And the same, LSU beat Florida, beat Georgia, beat Alabama. So I get it. I can't wait for these games, though, man. But I'll tell you what. I think Clemson is lined a favorite over LSU if they play each other.
I love Clemson's my favorite. I've been on Clemson since game 2, and I begin all that. I know we're going to take a little sidetrack here on NCAA football, but Clemson's been my team all year, and I understand the bad schedule, but if you have a bad schedule, what are you supposed to do? Blow teams out repeatedly, and that was a top 25 football team they played last night and made them look like little kids out there. So we'll be fun, and we got a lot. Look, that's 2 games played on December 28th. We got a lot of time to cover that over the next few weeks. Let's get back into this card and have some fun. And again, we prefaced it by saying the SEC was there last night. And if you're the city of Atlanta, right, most of you probably Georgia fans, you crushed. Don't you want to just go to the game today in a meaningless game, sit in the stands and cheer as loud as you can for the Atlanta Falcons? Probably not today. And Carolina coming to town without a lot of hype either. Over under this game, Jay, 48. Line actually opened up at 2.5 and 1.5. Now sitting at 3.5 across the board. Look, I know Carolina's not playing well. They fired their head football coach. They're banged up. But it's one of those positions I look at again and say, all right, Atlanta's in the favorite role. I don't want that position. I'm not betting this game either way, any side or total. But I don't know if I could just Julio's back. We get it. Hooper's back. That should give a boost. But how much of a boost are we talking about here when nobody's probably excited for this game in that city at all?
I mean, number one, who cares who wins this game, right? I mean, these teams are dreadful, bro. Yeah. Like me and you were talking about, I said there were some games I didn't have a good feel about. I have no idea what's going to happen in this football game, but I'll tell you what I do like. Christian McCaffrey over 78.5 rushing yards. Yeah. How does that kid not run for – when you think about what he's done in the league this year, how does he not get 78.5 against this defensive front seven with Atlanta?
On turf, yep.
On turf. Yeah, exactly. That would be my look in this game. I guess I don't know. Can you trust Kyle Allen to contribute to get you over that total, Donnie?
I think he can. And the one thing I always like, Jay, in these circumstances is when you get the head coach fired, right? Look, the players are mercenaries. They're not going to say, well, our head coach is gone. They really play more for paychecks than their actual head coach. I'm sure they said, hey, Ron, thanks and this and that, but they're getting ready to play a football game. They need to play well in order to keep their contracts and maybe be free agents next year. I always like when the head coach gets fired because it leaves a little bit more leeway. It means your season is basically over. So what happens, Jay? 4th and 2 at the 50? Why not? Fake punt? Why not? Fake field goal? Why not? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's usually what I get. And we're looking from an Atlanta side. Are they coming into this game going, well, you know what? Let's really build, make a playoff run, and, let's not go off the handles. We'll play it. No, both of these teams are out. So why not throw the hell all over the field and fake it and do whatever you want?
What's your look? You think Falcons get it done at home? I mean, the Panthers losing to the Redskins by 8 is a bad look, man.
It was a horrible look, but also the same way last week, Jay, that you saw, how did Carolina get bludgeoned on the ground by the Redskins? That's not really what Atlanta does. So I think there'll be more points in this game because that clock won't be rolling, maybe expand. Again, you're getting Julio back. Julio didn't play this. So, hey, they really didn't score against the Saints. Well, they have Hooper or Julio. What are they supposed to do in that football game? Now you're getting some weapons back. I think you get one of those bad football games we talk about, Jay, in really good weather conditions since it's in the dome. I think they let it fly.
Yeah, you're right. That we talk about it all the time. Yeah. Two bad football teams goes if two bad football teams were going to play and it was going to go over, I don't see why it wouldn't be this game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So 48.5 might be a little cheap. I just have no interest in betting this game at all.
Nope, won't be involved in this game. But also from an Atlanta, if we take a look from a side perspective, maybe it was one of those games, Jay, where we said, well, it opened up at 1.5, 2.5. You get Atlanta at home under a field goal with some guys coming back. I can see that, and with a fired football coach. But now I'm starting to get over that 3.5 range, which means probably going to have to win by a touchdown. I'm really not that interested in Atlanta. So I'll lean on the Atlanta Falcons total over 48, but maybe lean on the Carolina Panthers with the 3.5, see if we can get some plays out of that offense. Not a great game here either, Jay. 143, 144. We're making our way through, and it looks like we got a couple before we hit some of these primetime efforts. Detroit and Minnesota. David Blau, as you saw, had a nice first half against the formidable defense, I should say, on Thanksgiving Day versus the Chicago Bears. Now he's going to go on the road in a dome in a tougher environment. But I got to say, when you're looking from a Minnesota perspective, tough loss on Monday Night Football. Division opponent coming to town, over double digits. Look, Dalvin Cook's going to play in this football game. Are we giving him 25 touches, knowing that you're probably going to win this game anyway? Adam Thielen not back just yet. I do think the Minnesota offense can still make plays against this porous secondary for Detroit, and I think Blau can make some throws with those wide receivers that you have on Detroit. I don't know if I trust, again, a rookie now going on the road, even though he does have a little bit extra time to prepare since the last time they played was on Thanksgiving. It's a complete stay-away game for me, and the line is dropping, Jay. Opened up at 13. I'm now seeing minus 11.5 offshore at Chris with a total of 43.5 to 44. I think the game has a chance to go over. Not really too hyped here on the side. How about you, Jay?
Yeah, I'll preface this with saying that it's a complete stay-away game for me also, but I think everything that you just said would lead me to think that you hold your nose maybe and you take the Detroit Lions plus the points. I mean, the kid did go 22 for 38 for 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick against a really solid Bears defense. That was a really emotional game for Minnesota last week, even though it wasn't a divisional game. Both those teams were good, looking to further their playoff hopes. I think that if I was going to take a side, I'd probably hold my nose and take the points here, especially with Thielen not playing, especially with Dalvin Cook. You have to think, like you said, the kid's not going to get 25 touches today. So I would probably hold, if you had to bet the game, I'd probably hold my nose and take the points.
No, I agree with you. And looking from a Detroit secondary perspective, Mitchell Trubisky throws for 331 against them. 2 games before that, Dallas and Dak Prescott threw for over 400 yards. There are going to be some deep shots here. When we take a look at fantasy football, Jay, one of my millionaire matchmaker guys is Stephon Diggs. I think he might be able to get hit off with a deep shot or 2 in this football game with no Thielen and really an average at best secondary. I think there'll be points in this game. I just don't know if there's going to be enough points for me to say, you know what, Detroit's going to, put up 24 and really hang around in this game. Leaning towards Minnesota in this game, leaning towards the over. But again, one of those games where I think there's much better shots and angles on the card for me here, Jay.
Yeah, Corey Jackson says, no way, Vikings after a loss during primetime. I will say it's incredible how good Kirk Cousins is against the spread at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Compared to what he does on prime time, It's like night and day, man. So he could be right. But it's just a stay away.
No, you're right about it. So, there's not too much time we spend breaking down will David Blau, light up their secondary or not. I think there's a very small path to victory for the Detroit Lions, and Minnesota really desperately needing a win, obviously, to stay in the wild card race and maybe an outside shot at in the division, which I don't think is going to take place anymore at this point. 145, 146, Jay. Hop, skip, and a junk from where you're broadcasting from. Those Miami Dolphins come north to play the New York Jets. Usually, we're talking 35 degrees, 20-mile-an-hour winds up in the Meadowlands. Not real windy today. Ryan Fitzmagic comes to town. It's him, it's Devontae Parker, and nobody else on that football team. But still, that was really enough to beat the Philadelphia Eagles last week. Now you're looking at a Jets football team. If you follow during the week, one of the worst injury reports that you're going to see. Damn near everybody ill, injured, not going to play. Le'Veon Bell, as you saw, downgraded to out. A couple key contributors in the Jets secondary downgraded to out. So you think this is some Fitzmagic this week. It's not going to be like, hey, the Dolphins are going to come up playing freezing cold temperatures and a lot of wind. Not really the case here. Do we get a Fitzmagic type game where you say, you know what, enough's enough? The Jets went on the road and lost to a horrible Bengals team. Before that, put up 34 points, 3 straight weeks. Everybody's look, the Philadelphia Eagles stunk on offense the past 5 weeks, lit up the Dolphins. Do we think the Jets can light it up, and do you trust them, or is this one of those games going, don't be surprised, third quarter, 24-17, Miami has the lead on the road here, Jay?
All right, hear me out.
Go.
All right. Give me my New York Jets today, big boy. Give me my New York Jets today. Listen, I think we talk about recency bias all the time.
Yeah.
This line opens up at 7. The public watches the Jets lose to an 0-10 football team or an 0-11 football team. They watch the Dolphins get a win against what everybody thought would probably be the NFC East champions this year in a scrappy, high-scoring game. Give me the New York Jets, Donnie. Like you said, they won 3 weeks in a row. They put up 34 points a week. All right, they laid an egg. They shit the bed. They looked terrible against Cincinnati, right? Mm-hmm. But that's why I think it's an overreaction. That line opened at 7. It was as low as it's 5 right now. Earlier this morning, I saw 5.5. Now Pinnacle hanging a -5, almost at even money.
Yeah.
That may continue to drop the next 20 minutes. I think they do enough to get the job done. Ryan Fitzpatrick, as good as he looks sometimes, I've seen the guy throw 4 interceptions multiple times as a New York Jets quarterback. I'm not that concerned with Le'Veon Bell like you and I were talking about. Jamal Adams is a big loss. But I still think that they can do enough to cover the number. And I like the over. You and I were both talking about the total. I think we both think this game goes over. My only issue is, Donnie, it opened at 44. How do you give it out at 47?
The 47 is a tough one. Yeah, I would say if it's south. I do agree because I think most people are waiting to see like what type of weather conditions. You're getting really great, unbelievable scoring conditions for December in the Meadowlands. And it's one of those games, Jay, we just talked about. 2 bad football teams. What do you have? Look at last week what the Miami Dolphins were doing. Going for every 4th down. Faking, on 4th and 3 from the 3-yard line, running ridiculous special teams plays for touchdowns. And you have Fitzpatrick, one of the all-time great boomer bust quarterbacks, saying, I'll throw it up. I don't care if it gets intercepted or maybe it's a touchdown and good for us. When you look from a Jets perspective on their side, I think you're in the right realm here because Sam Darnold's going to have time to pass. Sam Darnold has 3 legitimate weapons at wide receiver that can get all over that secondary that outside of Eric Rowe, who stinks, nobody can name any of the other guys in the secondary. Vince Beagle and the boys on the front line. He's going to have time to throw. And yes, Le'Veon Bell's not setting the world on fire. Le'Veon Bell's not Dalvin Cook's ability this year. So him going down, I don't think that's that much, but the common core public fan will say, you know what? Le'Veon Bell's out. I can't take him now. I don't think that's going to have any factor in this game.
If you could take Devontae Parker out of the game, how do they beat you?
You're right. Yeah.
How did they beat you?
They jump-balled the Eagles to death last week. They jumped. It was amazing. Yes, correct.
The 30th best offense and the 32nd defense in the league. Give me the Jets. Give me the Jets off laying a huge egg when they were just rolling for a month, scoring 30 a game. I'll take my chances.
I'm with you on that one. I am with you on that one. So 1:00 games. Got one more 1:00 game here. Indianapolis and Tampa Bay. How about this one down in Tampa? Brissett and Winston obviously going to be the quarterbacks here. Chris opened up at 2. Pinnacle opened up -3.5 plus juice, but it looks like we settled in right on that 3 number in this football game. How about the over-under, Jay? It's nice weather down in Tampa. 78 degrees, light winds, but we opened up here 49.5, 50.5. Now we're seeing 46.5 across the board. Marlon Mack's going to be back in this football game. T.Y. Hilton's been out for a couple weeks. Paris Campbell's going to be back, the rookie wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. And looking from a perspective on Tampa, there's how things are going to be on offense. Scott Miller's not going to play the short, quick wide receiver that plays usually out of the slot, but you still got those dynamic weapons in Mike Evans. You got Godwin on the outside. You got Jameis Winston, great boomer bust guy. I still lean towards the over in this football game. Colts on the road, usually a tougher task. And when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year, they're a really good football team, a really coached football team, unless Jameis Winston does one of his, 1 or 2 plays that don't make any sense. If he quells those, they're a tough team to beat here. I'm leaning towards Tampa Bay at home. I'm not going to pull the trigger on this game, but I do think we get some points here, Jay.
I've bet the Tampa Bay team total over 7 weeks in a row.
Mm-hmm.
They're averaging 30 points a game the last 9 weeks, and they were hanging 24s consistently. This week, looks like they're getting hip to the shit. That team total right now is sitting at 25.5. And you know what, Donnie? I'm taking it again. I'm going over again. They're home. The offense has not been the issue for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. It has, I think it's been untimely mistakes. It's been some defensive lapses in judgment. Even though they're a top 10 defense, they always seem to shoot themselves in the foot at the worst possible time. I think Jameis Winston, like you said, another boomer bust quarterback. The kid's either going to throw for 450 or he's going to throw for 4 interceptions. So give me the Tampa Bay team total over again. And I agree with you. I think Marlon Mack being back will help open the passing lanes for Jacoby Brissett. I think the game goes over 46.5.
No, I agree with you there. Jack Doyle's capable tight end. You have a little bit more weapons, but also when you're talking about Marlon Mack back, it's not so much just him running up the middle or breaking off a big play out of the backfield. This opens up the screen game extremely well. And one of the favorite things that Frank Reich likes to do, running off play action. If you have a legitimate back that can gash you, they're going to bite. The linebackers are going to come up. We're talking about a Tampa Bay secondary, not exactly elite. And then if you flip it over from a Colts perspective on their secondary, down Kenny Moore today, who is their best corner. Not great when you go up against Godwin and Mike Evans. I do agree with you. I don't really love the side here from either way because you're meaning Tampa Bay is going to have to win by margin, 4 points up to 7 points to cash that ticket. We do know that a very well-coached football team, Indianapolis, is coming to town and a little bit healthier. Don't like the side, but I do like the points here. I don't agree with that huge move down because, again, unless you were saying, hey, Jay, it's 71 degrees with 25-mile-an-hour winds down there and some rain, I would agree with it. You're going to get as good of weather conditions as you possibly can get down to Tampa, and I do agree with you. Tampa Bay is an over team. They play toward the over. You're not making a ton of money. We say, hey, man, Tampa Bay, under the total this week. You're not going to make a lot of money doing that here. 4 o'clock games. Let's get it underway. Chargers and Jacksonville Jaguars. Minshew going to be back at the helm, taking over for Nick Foles. Not a lot to like at this point, even from a Jacksonville defensive perspective here, Jay. Haven't played very well, but you're getting Phillip Rivers and an extremely talented Chargers team. I looked at this game all week. I agree with it being at 3, Jay, but I never pulled the trigger because I look at throwing shot puts all over the field, just not working for me. They always lose the close game. Minshew's going to make a couple plays and keep them in it. I can't do it. I like the Chargers here, Jay. I just can't pull the trigger because of what the Chargers are.
I completely agree with you not pulling the trigger. If I was taking a side here, give me the 3.5 points at home. I feel bad for Nick Foles. Did they pull him? They pulled him, right?
He's benched. Yeah.
Oh, what a sin. I feel bad for that kid, man. They looked like a better football team with Gardner Minshew. They just did. That offense looked better than the few times that we saw Nick Foles this year. I think, how do you lay 3.5 with a team that Phillip Rivers looked like Father Time just kicked him right in the dick? I mean, bro, I can't believe how old he looks this year. It's multiple interceptions every game. I can't trust Phillip Rivers right now. I can't. As good as that team is, talented-wise, around him, I can't trust that guy right now. So give me the 3.5 points at home.
It's crazy because you have an elite defensive line for the Chargers. They're getting healthy in the secondary. You flip it over to the offensive line coming back. Tevy's probably going to play in this game. Okung's going to play. 3 running backs that are legitimate. Austin Eckler, one of the best out of the backfield. And I just can't get over, if you let a free pass rusher in, Rivers can't get out of the way. If somebody's open in a split second, he has to, uncork a 30-yard, deep ball. He can't do it. And I'm so tired of watching the dumb interception, the 19-minute drives that they go on that produce a field goal because they stall in the red zone. They're so hard to take. I'm going to lay off. I don't even like the total in this game because I don't know what I'm getting out of it. And how motivated are the Chargers down in Jacksonville today, knowing they're not going to the playoffs anyway? So complete pass for me whatsoever in this game. I don't care about it. This game I do care about. 151, 152. Mahomes and Brady. Which Brady are we going to get? Seems like unless they play in really bad conditions, their offense doesn't function all that well or can keep up with the other team. You have a really good defense in New England. You have an extremely good offense with the Kansas City Chiefs coming to town. But it's the same way, Jay, that you might look at that game in the Dome saying, you know what? Even if the San Francisco 49ers might be a better team or more explosive team, God damn it, I'm not betting against New Orleans in the Dome. That same thing comes into play with the New England Patriots today at home. Can they surprise? Can they get offense? Looks like Edelman's going to play. Sanu's going to play. Maybe another week under their belt, getting healthier. But sometimes you just look at Tom Brady and Father Time, be like, bro, it just ain't there this year. And that's a dynamic offense coming to town with Andy Reid here.
I agree with you with that feeling that it just ain't there this year. But I tried to find a way to pull the trigger on the Kansas City Chiefs all week. I just can't. I cannot fade the Patriots at home. They have been so dominant for a decade, especially when Edelman and Brady are in the lineup together, that I can't do it. I do think that the Houston Texans exposed what me and you thought all year. This defense is a lot less for real than people think because of that ridiculously easy schedule that they've played all year. I think that Mahomes is going to have success today. It's just you're asking them to win a close game probably in the fourth quarter at Foxborough against that coach and that quarterback. And I just can't do it. Total wise, I really don't have a look. I will be all over the props in this game, man. I'll be digging in on Liveline trying to find angles in this game. They set Edelman at 6.5 receptions. That's close. I kind of like Travis Kelce over 67 receiving yards. I think he's probably got a good shot of getting there. But, man, Donnie, I think it's going to be really close down the stretch.
Yeah, banged up running backs here for Kansas City coming to town. Going to lean on old man Shady to see if he can get it done up there in Foxborough. But certainly a primetime game. We'll watch that at 4:25. Pittsburgh and Arizona, one of the more maddening lines of the week to try to find your way around it. Because I got to tell you, if you just look at this game and don't really cap it and say, wait a second, Pittsburgh's going to win this football game. You tell me it's going to be 1 or 2 or 3 point, less than 3. Just give me Pittsburgh to win. What a win last week. They're getting healthier. The quarterback's looking good, but you still got to go on the road 3,000 miles away and play in a dome. And your overall profile is not saying, well, let's get into a shootout and win. You're going to play good defense. We know the Pittsburgh Steelers have an elite level defense, but you still got to score some points. You can't roll into these games each and every week, Jay, and say, we're going to win and cover by scoring 17 to 20 points. Arizona embarrassed last week. Maybe they get up on the carpet. Maybe it was Kyler Murray banged up a lot more with his hamstring than we initially thought. I got to say, it's kind of a sharp play to go with Arizona today, but it's hard to say Arizona legitimately has to beat this team if you probably want to cash this ticket here.
You know, I was feeling really good about this Arizona offense until they laid that egg last week against the Rams. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to think about this game. This is an avoid game for me. If I was going to bet the game, I'd probably take Arizona at home. I take the 2.5 points. You can get a Pinnacle right now and just hope for the best. I don't even have an opinion on this total. I mean, I like this Arizona offense and I like this kid, but can you trust Pittsburgh and Arizona to get over 43.5?
It's crazy because we talk about a lot on the show, right? Fast snap rate, they're going to go up and down the field. But when you completely look at what the Pittsburgh Steelers want to do, it's not hurry up. It's play good defense. And you saw last week, and we play an elite level defense for Arizona. What happened? They couldn't do too much. If you get a good pass rush against Kyler Murray, he's going to be under the gun all game long. It's crazy to say that because their defense thinks Arizona. Well, Pittsburgh can get 24 points. I don't know that because I don't know if the pace is going to dictate it from their side. You're right.
Yeah, I agree. That Pittsburgh's built for unders, a good defense, a slow moving offense now with all the quarterback changes. Yeah, I agree. This is a 100% complete pass for me.
Last one we'll go over before we give away some best bets of the day on the show. 155, 156, Tennessee going out west to play Oakland. Oakland scraping the bottom of the AFC right now. Once looked like a playoff contender, maybe not so much, but also a key contributor. Jacobs, the running back, may not go today. A true game time decision, which if you have your fantasy lineups out there, it's got to suck being in the playoffs or close to the playoffs and needing a win, and you put him in. You could have started somebody else at 1 o'clock, and then he sits at 4:15. That's going to be a tough one. Opened up at 2.5 and 1, so a couple differentiating opening lines on this game towards Tennessee. We're now settling into that 2.5 range with a total of 47. Tannehill has been sensational. We're reading out now from Tennessee that they're going to offer him a big lucrative contract once the season ends, getting elite level play now out of your big time running back, Derrick Henry. What's not to like about Tennessee? And I just see this line coming from 3s now to 2.5 here, Jay, with the Raiders.
Yeah, it's pretty simple for me. If Josh Jacobs is out, I'm on the Titans because Tennessee has not looked better than they have the last 6 weeks, probably in the last 3 years. I agree with you. I'm really surprised how well Ryan Tannehill has played the last month and a half. They've been impressive to me. And, you know, they're a middle of the pack defense that should be able to do enough to slow down the Raiders if Josh Jacobs is not in this game, because Jacobs opens those passing lanes up for Derek Carr. Without him, I think he probably struggles. I agree, man. Give me Tennessee.
Tennessee, since being installed the starter, being Tannehill, 23 points, 27 points, 20 points, 35, 42, and 31. So they are scoring with Tannehill at the helm. How about that? Take out Marcus Mariota, insert Ryan Tannehill, and get some instant offense. That'll do it for the games today, Jay. And we do have a couple minutes left here. So as always, we like to give out some best bets. I'll go first here. I'm going to go 2 sharp plays today and see if we can steal some of these. 1+ money. I'm going to go down in the dome, Jay. I'm going to go against you and take the 49ers money line at plus 118.
Son of a bitch.
And then we're going to go late at 4 o'clock. I'm going to go Arizona Cardinals in this game, but not to win the game, Jay. Arizona Cardinals plus a half in the first half. I think Pittsburgh's bigger, stronger, and faster as the game wears on. I don't think that is all that good for Arizona. I think they can hang around in the first half. I think Duck Hodges maybe inches the football around and not pushing it downfield yet, because you saw last week until they got down, they didn't push the football. I think Arizona might hang around the first half. So those are my 2. What are you digging on today, Jay?
I like that Arizona play, and I don't blame you for taking the 49ers. It's a coin flip. Give me Lamar Jackson over 69.5 rushing yards. Give me that Tampa Bay team total over 25 and a hook again.
Awesome, man. Before we get out of here, Jay, spend a minute here. Tell the folks about what you're doing this afternoon and why they should be watching the live line.
Man, we have been absolutely crushing it, Donnie. We are currently 84 and 53, up about 60 units. Another night last night, we go 8 for 11. We try to just give out the best picks that we can, and we live bet every card Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We'll be on today 1:15. We'll do the early games. We'll take that afternoon off, and then we'll be back tonight for the Sunday night football game. Please come and check us out.
Awesome, guys. Thanks once again for tuning in. We do this each and every Sunday. It's always fun to be a part of the show. Always fun when Jay comes on. Been with me the entire season. We'll continue right through to the playoffs. Have some fun right here on the closing line, powered by sportsbookreview.com. As Jay said, please check out the live line all day long. A lot of fun goes on during the week, during the big games as well. From all of us here at sportsbookreview.com, good luck on those wagers today. We'll do this again next Sunday. Take care, fellas.
Thanks, brother.